Well, I will quench your thirst. In my previous MCU video, I established the cosmology, but in brief. The multiverse as a whole is universe 19999, which is a part of the many infinite number of multiverses within the crossroads of infinity, supported by an external fluid known as the superflows. As every other fictional part of the lower multiverse, the MCU is fictional, so do not be fooled. LOL. The MCU contains a multiverse which contains an infinite number of universes, but it is far deeper than this. In total, the MCU as a whole in cosmology is high hyperversal. Go check my Marvel cosmology video and my last video. The DCEU cosmology is kinda complex, but not really. Just pay vivid attention. The same way the MCU is part of the crossroads is the same way the DCEU is logically part of the bleed space. The CW is also part of this vastness. How did I come to this conclusion? First, let's establish the fact that everything, be it movie or not, is literally fictional, so it is part of the continuity of the franchise. Then we check the general cosmology and possibility of how high these multiverses can be. We are aware that in DC, nothing above the orrery of worlds affects anything beyond it, like the bleed space itself and the God sphere and above. When I mean affect, I'm talking about things like the crisis events of the main continuity, because these gods are beyond dimensionality, they are platonic archetypes. The CW is an infinite multiverse, with every movie so far being part of the CW multiverse. The DCEU is actually finally stated in the new Snyder Cut movie, clearing up the misconceptions of the DCEU being small in cosmology. Meanwhile, it is the same extent like other multiverses as part of. Now, the DCEU is stated to be infinite, which
infinity of space. He called forth
we should be, since it is like every other multiverse in the bleed, and it is like the CW. To further back this up, in the comics, we are aware that there are monitors monitoring the 52 main multiverses, and there's a source wall for each, meaning that each multiverse is bound to its own events. Same thing with the other infinite non-52, right? As we saw in the Crisis of Infinite Earth in the CW, Infinite Earth doesn't just mean planet, lol, but actually universes, and each multiverse has its own prime Earth or prime universe in it, despite it not being a prime multiverse. This concept would be new to non-comic readers, but that's why these directors or writers like Snyder assume most people watching the movies are comic fans. But yeah, to finally back this claim up is when Barry from the DCEU met Barry from the CW, and he wasn't meant to be there because all universes are supposed to have been destroyed in the CW. That means the CW and every other multiverse, they all share what? The same bleed, right? Sorry, the same speed force, because the speed force does have levels. I think I need to do more videos explaining some of these things so people don't get too confused. But yeah, the speed force has different levels depending on the part of the multiverse, and that's why you get faster and stronger the higher you climb. It's as simple as it gets. And then note that these multiverses get as high won't be, like every other multiverse. The CW is known already to be incredibly powerful. Subscribe so I can actually see need to scale the CW characters. Make sure to watch my DC Cosmology video breakdown, which will be linked down below, so you don't get lost, and note that Mixie in the CW is beyond the multiverse of the CW, which would still be like high won't be, but very high, arguably outerversal, just because of how the verse is built, like the source wall for each multiverse, and the bleed is a lower outer spectrum. Some can easily argue it. Now let's move on to the scaling of Thanos. I genuinely need you guys to check the previous video, as it helps to shorten this video, because you need certain character skills or scaling to validate further. But Thanos has easy personal feats of his own, and we're going to be simple here. Let's start with his lowest of the lowest feats. The least feat for Thanos attack potency would be the fact that you have to lowball the entire verse to do this. no joke. You literally have to lowball every character in the Infinity Stones, so we have multi-planet level AP Thanos if you ignorantly ignore more than 30 plus feats of all kinds proving otherwise, and say the stones are planet level each at best, and his DC as low but would be country plus scaling from destroying the Tesseract casually. Moving on to his mid-end feats. Now, his mid-range feats would come from trying to be a bit open-minded, and says he was just going to turn the universe into atoms, and this is still very asinine to do so. This means you will assume that the term universe doesn't mean or can't mean more, but just means 98 billion light years. And don't say stuff like it isn't his strength. If you aren't relative to the stones, you will literally die. Ego thus states this, that Star-Lord could pull these feats because he's a celestial, and that's how he knew his son was alive.
I've searched for you for so long. When I heard of the man from Earth who held an infinity stone in his hand without dying, I knew you must be the son of the woman I loved.
Have incredible amount of power, like I'm talking like multiversal level durability and attack potency. You can do this. And yeah, shout out to Star-Lord for being this powerful. Now, moving on to the normal scaling for Thanos. Go watch the previous video to see feats of other characters, but have these at the back of your mind. The cosmic abstract exists in Marvel, like the MCU. Of course, eternity, death, entropy, and infinity are shown and stated in the guidebook. Infinity is connected to the Space Stone, which the Tesseract retains such energy, and Thanos crush it with his normal strength easily. Eternity is like the Time Stone, which Doctor Strange used to beat an outerversal being, but it isn't passive at all. The eyes of Agamotto don't inherently function in terms of power output, but yet you get the gist. Star-Lord as a half celestial was able to view eternity. Even the Watchers and Celestials exist in the verse. Galactus has come in the past of Fantastic Four, and it wasn't even truly him. Thanos thanks the combined power of these stones and ranks above people and explained well in the previous video. Thanos is actually high 1B in the MCU easily. Star-Lord plus Ego gets as high as high 1B as well, but I explained all these before and will explain better if you guys sub and show interest in the MCU, CW, and DCEU. As for Wank for Thanos, trying to scale Thanos to Dormammu, who is outerversal, is stupid because Dormammu was just getting tricked over and over again because he's beyond dimensions, all of time and space, so time is very foreign to outer beings when the time you bring to them isn't below their might. He consumes worlds with time and space, so don't you think the stones are outerversal? Well, there could be argued that, but to be honest, this is going over the board for Thanos, who struggles with one stone, to be honest. He tanks them, but people forget his gauntlet helps him a lot. Each stone is high 1B, by the way, so yeah, easily outerversal though. But Thanos and many MCU members are very impressive. In fact, their low-end feats are way lesser and can't even be counted as anti-feats because they aren't. LOL. Now for Darkseid. Of course, we're going to start with his low-end feats like we did for Thanos. I have already seen people putting Darkseid totally under the ground, including me low-key. But he's actually a lot more impressive when you think about him. The lowest feat he has is actually when you go 5,000 years back in the movie, which most call Uzas, which I do not inherently agree with. There are better arguments to show that he was weaker without saying he was younger. Then then automatically he's weaker because of a change in name, which was never actually mentioned to be Uzas in the movie. But anyways, now he got wrecked by Zeus and Ares. Knows that trying to equate these Ares to the Ares Wonder Woman fought is the worst thing you can do.
I am not the god of war, Diana. I am the god of truth. Mankind stole this world from us.
People forget that the Ares she fought wasn't really Ares, but the one who created her weapon, non-passively, as he is the god of truth, which is the purpose of the laser, but he didn't create it inherently. He represented Ares though, but he wasn't. Ares died after his fight with Zeus. This seems to have been retconned because Zeus created the Amazons after his battle with Ares. Unless I didn't get the plot well, which is rare in me to be honest. So let's say it isn't the Ares we saw clearly isn't the same damn person she fought. And to think of the barefaced fact that she won when she could barely beat Steppenwolf on her own, and says that Steppenwolf is the most powerful person she has seen, then the only person that could challenge him was Superman.
I've seen the being as strong as Steppenwolf. Maybe one.
Superman.
Literally, most of her strength comes from the weapons blessed by the old gods, which Steppenwolf say she has the blood of the old gods as a demigod, daughter of Zeus.
You have the blood of the old gods in you.
But the weapons are worse, and no god is as strong as Zeus. Zeus kind of struggled with younger Darkseid, but Ares almost straight up killed him with an attack. Literally. This dude was gushing with blood. Zeus and Ares by key issues. Shout out to him, by the way, and go check out his old gods videos alongside Wonder Woman. He has them around Country Plus in DC. And in terms of AP, I say each of those gods slapped Steppenwolf, and Steppenwolf had destroyed 100,000 worlds in the name of Darkseid and was aiming 50,000 more.
Fail 100,000 worlds. They always fail. Those who sought his throne.
You still owe the Great One 50,000 more worlds.
More. That's multi-planet level on so many levels, and would scale relative to the Justice League and the old gods in terms of low high end, because it differs if it was at a go or over time, and it is clearly over time. This would put Darkseid at planet level to about 2 times planet level at a younger strength. Mid-end feats for Darkseid. Mid-end would be making the case that they do these feats without any inherent break, as they plan to dominate the infinite multiverse, meaning infinite time, and infinite time has no weight for anybody. So I don't think that even when they fight other worlds and destroy it, if you even try stretching to say that they are moving trillions or more light years to thousands of worlds across an infinite multiverse, there really isn't time to rest. So they should be able to pull relative feats, and I am referring to Darkseid and somewhat Steppenwolf, because at some point Darkseid isn't bothered about these planets and his main feats would soon come. So Darkseid would easily neg even a million plus worlds put together with literally to no effort, which seems about accurate. Now for the normal scaling for Darkseid. Darkseid's normal scaling may be seen as wank, but really it isn't. Just the same way Thanos can tank the force of the Infinity Stones, this nigga Darkseid is going to be able to tank the full force of all of creation via the anti-life. Sometimes
Universe for the ultimate weapon. The anti-life equation. The key to controlling all life and all will throughout the multiverse. He found it, hidden on a primitive planet, but before... The story of the Defiance is well known.
when characters get amped non-passively, that amp becomes a passive AP and durability feat. What do I mean? If another character amps a character, there can be argued that there are limitations. But when someone carries an object, a weapon that can end creation to their body and use it, and it is known to be deadly, that's props for the character easily. Because there is no emotions to it. There's nothing inherently that could say that this object limited the amount of force it is being put into this being. So for him to be able to want to get hold of the anti-life equation, which of course he will have to take the power, that is impressive. That is a clear durability and AP feat. Darkseid would scale to either multiversal plus or high 1B if you agree with my cosmology explanation. As for Wank would just be assuming he would be outer because he is a god from another universe, which could be true, but this is invalid. As for who wins this fight, it's very simple. Like Thanos is stronger in low end feats. Thanos is also stronger in mid end. Thanos is more consistent and normal feats, and both can be outer at high end. So Thanos definitely slaps easily low end, mid end beats, use hacks, and raw strength. Now as for consistent, if both of them are high 1B, yeah, high 1B still has varying degrees, right? One of the Infinity Stones could be argued easily outerversal and high 1B. If you have 6 high 1B stones, you're talking about someone tanking relatively 6 high 1B attacks, which is 6 high 1B durability and AP feat, to one person that is going to attack 1 high 1B attack. So there's still a clear dominance of strength. So the anti-life would be equal to just 1 Infinity Stone. And then, so yeah, Thanos still bodies, and like even if you argue that all the 6 stones together is high 1B, so it's equal to the anti-life, then we haven't just seen anything from the anti-life unless you want to start going from the comics. And even if you use the comics with the anti-life, which is barely even ever shown because that's his whole purpose, to be looking for that shit, yeah, the Infinity Stones just has too much hacks to negate it, to be honest. Then the same process will go if you use them as autoversal. If you talk about speed, I don't know what's the problem with the low ball of the MCU speed. You're talking about people being multiversal and you're telling me that they're fucking like bullet speed, then you have mental issues. They are massively faster than light. The high 1B, almost irrelevant speed. Just you have like immeasurable speeds thereabout. But yeah, if you want to give the DCEU credit for speed, then Darkseid slaps Thanos pretty probably high diff, because you make the argument that Thanos is stronger unless you're saying that the anti-life equates all the Infinity Stones and he's faster, then he fucking negs because he just bleeds him. But that is very unrealistic. That would be lying to yourself. But yeah, it depends on the scenario, but I see Thanos easily winning majority of the times, and the same outcome will be for the comics as well, to be honest. But yeah, I think I did Darkseid a fair justice, and I think he's really powerful, so do not be mad. I just gave feats for a character with at most 10 minutes of screen time. He is impressive. Well, thanks to those who watched. Please do to subscribe and turn on post notifications. The next video is going to be very, very interesting. It has to do with, Attack on Titan.